Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of Loss of Lieutenant. My name is Tristan, and I'm joined by fellow host tonight, Nick.
Hello.
And Jacob.
I'm here.
And tonight, we are discussing the fabled first Australian event with the ITS 17 pack. So, we thought we'd put together a little episode to help our Australian buddies get to grips around the new missions, which they might be reading for the first time when they rock up to the table.
And the lineup is some of the more interesting missions that came out in 17.
I really like this lineup, actually.
Oh, it's great. No, I mean, 17 is great, and the mission lineup is interesting, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Before we get into it, though, we do have, obviously, the event to cover. Cancon, the Australian Nationals, the 24th, 25th of Jan, Australia Day weekend at the Exhibition Park in Canberra. $67 for ticket price. Do not 67 in the chat, please. And the missions are provisioning, area of interest, crossing lines, corporate appropriation, and hardlock. Tickets are still available, to my knowledge. I haven't checked in a couple of weeks, though, but do get into it. It will be a smashing time. On that note, if you guys need a fresh set of dice rolling into Cancon, you can head over to Baron of Dice and use code LOSS for 5% off. All right, Nick, take us through your plan for Cancon.
The things you just said?
Exactly.
Okay, so this slide was written prior to the event slide going in. So the Cancon mission lineup is provisioning, area of interest, crossing lines, corporate appropriation, and hardlock. So going into this, I'm taking a slightly different approach that I normally do, and so we thought we'd go through the missions and look at how we're each analyzing the missions and using that to prepare lists.
Yep. I would like to point out while we're on this slide that crossing lines last round of day one is brutal. Cancon is traditionally in a 45-degree shed surrounded by everything GW, so we're cramped in a corner. We're all cooked out of our mind after 6 hours baking in a shed and having pizzas for lunch because there's nothing else. Crossing lines is going to be like a hope and a prayer for some people, I think. Anyway.
I think there's going to be a ton of people just seeing red and going for full aggression.
It's going to be nuts. All right.
So, normally I would look at this and go, what missions are we having, and then build around that. I take it that is what you two are doing. But recently I have been curating a list that I've been having a lot of fun with. And so I decided to take the opposite approach and say, I really want to play this list because I'm enjoying it. Can this list run through the Cancon missions?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have to like seriously force it, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a good list that you like and you're not sitting there going, oh, I have to do this and this specifically, and if it doesn't work, the entire plan falls apart. Yeah, an existing list that you're really comfortable with is probably the best thing to take.
Lists that you have experience with will often perform better than lists that you don't have experience with, but might be slightly more tailored towards the mission. Because I think we'll find this season has very few missions that really want like a hard tailored list for that specific mission.
Yes.
You can go super generalist in this. Like I think honestly I could one list the event. I actually might one list the event just because it's less mental strain. But yeah, it's not like an old event where it's like paramedic bonuses, engineer bonuses, hacker bonuses, and you kind of want to split them up just to get that efficiency. No, you can kind of do your own thing now.
Well, we've got a fairly good spread across the demands. I think the only ones like maybe evac and last launch
Yeah,
are further out from the rest of the pack, but I think we covered pretty much the spread.
yeah. I mean, the fact in those two missions that you have to sort of balance you losing units, so to speak, of like
Mhm.
what units am I prepared to lose, and you have to have sort of a
Mhm.
weird plan for dealing with like specialists and stuff like that. But really now, as we'll go through, it's now more about the capabilities of the units in your lists beyond being a specialist. The addition, well, the removal of bonuses being specific to a specialist, and the addition of operational learning. Yes, I got it. Has meant that really now you just have to concentrate on the other demands of the mission. I think
Yeah,
there's.
you
I think
can
there's.
write.
I think there's only one part of one mission where technically you want a specific specialist, which we'll get to.
Yeah, I think now ITS 17 demands a level of specialists in your lists, but you can write the specialist to reflect what your list needs for specialists, and they'll just cover the mission as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, with this season, we've got two cases that you could try and do, like the secure HVT if you draw really bad classified cards.
Yes.
Right, because you've got the treasure and the HVT now.
Mm-hmm.
We should touch on that at some point as well, like a general strategy for HVTs and treasure tokens, because I have seen people just deploy them together. And I think that's a mistake because it means one unit can secure both. And to stop that, you need to use 2 units to secure 2 separate things that are far away.
If your opponent spreads out, you can only stop one of them with one troop.
Yes. Yeah. So I've seen people go, oh, but if they're just going to secure one anyway, I'll just put it in a spot that's hard to get and cover it. And you go, that makes sense. But if I do get a unit there, if I drop a troop in, then oopsies, you either need to kill the unit or you can't really casually stop me from doing it.
I think that's the first top tip for Cancon is if you see your opponent put both of their dudes together, spread your things out. Because they've just hurt themselves and you can have a huge advantage by doing so.
Yep.
I usually spread mine out, but the one thing I've found is if you deploy the treasure chest roughly where you're expecting to deploy your Satcha, if you have one, that it's just a free pull with their first order as they walk up the board because they forward deploy 4 and they just deploy on top of it.
Absolutely.
I think the other thing with the treasure specifically is, unlike a HVT where you might want to hide it, your treasure token can be anywhere. You can't spot it, you can't interact with it other than to pull stuff out of it. So,
you don't have to be worried about it being out in the open because the only thing your opponent needs to do is be within 8. So unless there's a building that's thicker than 8 inches, which is not really going to happen, you can use it. Realistically, you can actually use it to stop a unit from stopping halfway on a staircase, for example, because even though you can move through it, you can't end on top of it. So you can make movement slightly awkward. You can do really weird things like that if you want to game the system a little bit. You can't place it obviously on terrain, but you can place it in front of stairs. You can place it in a weird spot where maybe your opponent wants to peek out. But I mean, I'm pulling everything to try and make this treasure token awesome. But yeah.
I was saying you're pulling like N3 strats where you you hid on your HVT because you couldn't be shot. You couldn't be
because they were solid.
Templates.
Yeah.
Well, no,
and they cancel templates.
They cancel the template. It just cancels the attack.
Good thing that's not in the game. All right, Nick. What have we got?
So, to try to organize the missions, because 5 is a lot of missions to hold in your head at one time. Try to break down what the missions need so I can make a table of it and just look at it all at once to see what coverage I need to have.
Yep.
So I broke it apart into 3 categories. The specialist needs, which I then broke down into buttons, classifieds, and other. Deployment nuance, mobility needs, and then other needs.
Yeah.
And I realized that I said that was 3. That is not 3.
I mean, other needs is going to be very, very specific, and sometimes you ignore it as well. But we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Provisioning. Now, I've kind of added a little in a nutshell thing here. So if anyone listening, that I can give you a basic idea of what to do with the mission. So if the only thing you remember is this one sentence, then you'll be good. All right. Provisioning in a nutshell. Extract 4 supply boxes, put them in your safe area, and make sure your opponent doesn't put them in their safe area.
Yeah.
And then if you feel like it, do a classified.
Pretty much.
Don't forget about operational learning. First failed roll is +3. Second failed roll is +3 and 1 special dice.
Just remember, you have to keep spelling the orders one after the other on the same unit, on the same target. Otherwise, it won't work.
Yes.
Oh.
So with provisioning, I broke it down into for the specialist needs. There's 3 buttons to press, but also 4 supply boxes. So 3/4, 1 classified, and then under other specialist needs, you need them to retrieve the safe boxes from your opponent's safe area if they manage to get them there.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing. If you can manage to get, like, let's say 2 boxes in, and then maybe your entire game plan should be kill the rest of the specialists so they cannot touch my box. I just, because this changes between missions, and I actually got caught out when we were playing.
If you're talking about the direction of the radial deployment, we are making it the same in Cancon, and it's both from the left.
Yeah, what I was saying is for corporate appropriation, controlling to stop your opponent controlling the like a box or something like the prototype, you have to touch the unit. This one, I'm pretty sure you only have to touch the actual box itself.
It depends. If it's in the safe zone, touching it doesn't work. You have to be a specialist and holding it to control it in their safe zone.
Yeah. So because that caught me out, because normally it's all like past seasons, it's always been about touching the objective stops you from your opponent from controlling it. In Corpora, you have to touch the unit controlling the prototype, not the prototype itself.
Sure.
So for deployment nuance, it's radial deployment, which changes up, especially how aerial deployment and infiltrating troops function, because it's a very different amount of space that they can cover. For this, I said mobility needs were high because there's 4 different things you need to go out and get and pull back. And if your opponent gets one of them, you have to go much further and with a specialist to pull it back.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say it's. I think whenever we say speed, the only other thing, if you're like a slow faction, is infiltration. You need to be up on that midline at the very beginning.
Yes, yeah, I would definitely consider for mobility, infiltration is a form of mobility.
Yeah, exactly.
Other needs, I had to note that it has bunker potential. So if you get an early lead, you could potentially just fortify. So just mine up an area, and if you've got like 3 boxes in your safe area, you just put up a wall of mines. So having the potential to do that, nice. It's by no means required, but it is something kind of to have in the back of your mind of, if I do get up in this mission, I can lock it and just start chewing my opponent's orders rather than trying to do anything myself.
Yeah.
Yep. There is a big focus as well. A lot of people are used to supplies. This is the supplies replacement, essentially. There is a big point swing on boxes controlled in the safe area. So you could have 3 boxes and your opponent could have 1 box in the safe area, and I think those are equivalent objective point wise.
Yeah, so there's 6 points. No, sorry, 7 points total. In the game.
Putting them in your safe area is very, very important.
Yeah.
I've had much success because putting them in your safe area is essentially like just building a harder console for your opponent to remove from. Because what people haven't, well, if you haven't read the mission, to pull it from a safe area is at -3.
Yes, it's you need a specialist. You need to make a whip check, and it's a whip check at -3.
And you're in your opponent's hacking area. There's mines, there's templates. You got to get through all that stuff first before you do it. And one dude can only carry one box unless he has baggage, which, I mean, I don't really think anything does aside from like an Evo bot, but good luck.
The Maggie
is not a specialist, my friend.
But the pilot. Oh, the
pilot's not a specialist. So the pilot could hand it off back to Maggie, but the pilot's like whip 12. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gone.
Do note that if for picking up the supply box, it is still from the opponent's safe area. It is still the same scenario skill. So if you manage to clear the area and fail the roll, it does benefit from operational learning.
It does. Yep. I've had a lot of success grabbing as many boxes turn 1 as possible. I basically have a link team with lots of tack-aware and specialists, and I just focus the middle one because it has 2 boxes in itself. I grab those, I run it to my safe area, which I've placed in a way to make it order efficient to put those 2 middle boxes into. What I have encountered playing against Val, who had a really great strategy, is he was forced to go second, and as such, he put his safe area really close to the center button. What it meant is he could cover the center button, make it difficult for me to pull them, and then he could run up Penthesilea, who's an 8/6 specialist, and basically in 2 orders, grab a box, put it in the supply area, grab a box, put it in the supply area, instead of thinking, this is going to be like, I'm going to put it in the hardest spot for my opponent possible. You already know you're probably going to be on the back foot if you're going second anyway, if you haven't got a really, really strong ARO presence that can cover 3 buttons, which is, it's pretty rare. So he made it as convenient for himself as possible, knowing that I'm really not going to interact with his safe area, put it closer to mine and closer to the buttons, and he basically won the game off of that. So that's a really interesting strat when you think about it. Like, when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense.
The boxes are more secure laying on the floor in your safe area than you would think.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you got the neg 3, you got the specialist restriction.
The neg 3 in and of itself is just makes it huge. Way harder.
Yeah, and that's an interesting sort of thing that like Val, I guess, twigged is going second. You don't have to be so scared of your opponent trying to muck around with the stuff you've got in the safe zone. Going first, you do, because you need to grab the boxes, bring them back, put them down, bunker up, go, cool. This is my safe area, right? This is where I'm going to keep, this is where I'm going to try and be, like, keep my boxes. Whereas the second player is like, I have to go get them off you anyway, so I don't care. I need my my boxes to be my safe area to be halfway up the board, because I'm not going to be able to get anywhere fast enough if I don't.
Yep. Aside from that, personally, I think it's the most specialist heavy mission in the lineup. It's the mission I've found that really wants me to make a list for it personally or individually.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an NCA thing. I don't know about you guys, but it does ask a lot of mobility. It does ask a lot of button presses, obviously.
And I think, depending on like what you've got available in your list, I think this is one that actually also demands like a really nice, like, a quick Harris or something like that. So if you're going first, you get to the middle, you can have one go grab the original box, another go grab the second box, and have them both run to the safe zone. Because the last thing you want to do is leave a box behind, because your dude can only carry one.
Yes. Yep.
So I'd almost say if your plan is to go for that middle box, you need to probably take at least a duo with one specialist in it, so that the other guy can pick up the box. So you don't have to be a specialist to pick up a box, do you?
No.
Only if it's in a safe area
or at
or
a
has
club
not
zone.
been extracted.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to take that one under my wing, Val's idea, because that's actually good.
Played off of that, one thing to note, I don't believe there's a restriction on which side of the table your safe area can be on.
It's just outside your DZ.
So, it has to be outside deployment zones and not overlapping the others. So you could potentially
put it next to your opponent.
Plop your safe area on top of the middle button.
Oh.
And just extract, drop.
Maybe within 4 inches. I wouldn't do exactly on top. I'd maybe do like 4 inches behind it.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna take a look.
No,
depending on how terrain is laid out.
Yeah, and I think if your opponent kind of steps back and doesn't put a lot of stuff on ARO, there is the potential that you can just put 3 boxes in the safe area and cover it in repeaters, cover it in drop bears or mines or whatever, and your opponent fails 2-3 times to pull it. Because once they pull it out of that safe area, they still need to run back and put it in their own safe area.
Yeah.
Which is still going to be, it's more and more orders, and it's very order intensive.
It's not a bad idea, actually, Nick, to sort of put your safe area like near one of the far boxes. So again, going first, I'm talking from that sort of perspective. Grab the middle, go up, grab the second one, put it in, just for the sake of maybe if you're worried about running out of orders, especially if you maybe don't have a lot of NCO or TAC aware. I mean, I'm playing MO who have some NCO, but not a huge amount.
Yep, the worst thing you can do is look at your DZ, which is now a globe, and think, I'm going to put it at the very bottom, just outside of my DZ. Because what you've done is you've basically demanded your list spend an extra 3 or 4 orders to put a box in a safe area. And there's way too many points tied up in having boxes in safe areas to make it inefficient for you to do so.
I think there are lists that can do it, but they require extreme speed.
A Garuda, yes.
Yeah. The closer you put it to a board edge, the closer you put it to parachutists.
Exactly.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's really true.
Also, the more you put it around the edge, I find the less you're going to have actually protecting it. Like, right in front of your DZ is actually going to be more protected than the bottom right corner of your DZ. Because you're going to have stuff like 24 inches across the other side of it. Anyways, just don't be silly. Don't be silly with your placement. Don't be kind of cowardly about it. Be confident. Be slightly aggressive if you're going first. Be hyper aggressive if you're going second. Man, stick it. You could stick it on the other side of the table. If you put it next to your opponents, shoot a couple disco balls, they can't do anything, and you just start ferrying boxes between 2 safe areas. Like a logistical nightmare. It's an interesting idea anyway. And it deserves some thought, I think. I think there will be like common strategies that emerge from it.
There's no restriction to putting the safe zone on like a rooftop or anything like that, is it? It just has to be.
It has to be on the ground.
The zone has to fit on the table. So you could say put it over, as long as like basically terrain doesn't overlap with it. So you could have terrain inside of it that's smaller than it.
Oh, okay, I see.
That's how I read it.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I remember them. Yeah, I mean, it does say the game table.
if there is a rooftop large enough to put a full template on, there are probably rules on the table about treating them like ground. Because that sounds more like if you're having risers on your table where the ground effectively changes height, but is still
yeah.
ground.
If you got like old school Warhammer hills, sure. I was just gonna say if you could put it on roofs and stuff, and you've got a really good like super jump verticality army, you could think about doing that as well.
Yeah. Generally, game table means the lowest part of the table.
Yeah. I can't. I should take a look at the rules for putting down HVTs because
it'll be the same thing. Yeah.
Clear up the wording.
Yeah, they're basically the same.
All right, guys. Any more thoughts for provisioning? No, I'll take that as a no. All right. Moving on, Rudy has done us the absolute pleasure of putting both the radial missions next to each other. So we have area of interest. In a nutshell, you want to every round dominate the special area and have the button activated. At the end of the game, you want to dominate all of the zones, and then if you feel like it, you want to do a classified. Don't forget, activating the antenna does not require a wall unless there is an enemy hacker in one of the zones, at which point it becomes a face-to-face between you and one of the opponent's hackers.
And this was the thing where I mentioned this is the only thing I think this season that's technically specialist specific.
Yes.
Yes.
You might want. It's the only thing that references a specific type of specialist.
Yeah.
So for this one, I broke it down for specialist needs. Buttons, there's one, but it's the end of every round. There's one classified. For other specialist needs, I put down none. However, get to that. Deployment nuance, again, it's radial. Mobility needs are high again because you have to, unlike provisioning where you have to go out and grab something, come back, this you, especially if you're second player, are having to throw units onto the other side of the table and hold it.
Yeah.
Other needs, there is a hacker bonus in this. Like I mentioned, it can make the middle button press go from automatic to face-to-face. This is one that hidden deploy hackers are quite potent. I played the other day into JSA and got up to press the button, and a hacker appeared in one of the zones. And after I spent my whole turn finally killing the hacker, I had 2 more orders left to go push the button and went to push it, and another hacker popped up in the other zone that was all hidden deployed.
Incredible.
Oh.
Incredible.
Well done to him.
Yes, yeah.
That's actually really funny.
That did bring up an interesting scenario where, because I was trying to push the button with a hacker, and I had put a repeater next to his hacker in the zone, he couldn't contest my roll because it wasn't an option when he had to declare an ARO. So my hacker activated. First short skill, I touched the objective. He has to declare his ARO immediately because he's in my hacking area.
I suppose the only thing is I don't think technically that face-to-face roll is an ARO. It's just how it works.
It is.
Is it an ARO?
It is now an ARO. It was not the first version of it.
Oh, okay. Well, did they FAQ it? Did they? I've got version 1 open.
Version. Yeah.
I got version 1 open.
Now, this was not a very great option because I activate, he declares Trinity. I'm not that desperate for a 14 roll to switch the objective, so I Trinity back. But it was just an interesting interaction where I could deny the ARO because it was an option by forcing him to declare an ARO half of the first order.
Yeah. However,
Did you say you activated it as the first skill?
No, I moved the first skill.
Yeah.
To touch it.
I see.
Then has to declare his ARO. I contest your touching the object. Your activating the objective ARO is not an option yet because I haven't tried to activate the objective.
Couldn't he preempt it like you can preempt shoot?
I think you can preempt it, but as you say, you might just take a Trinity in return or something. Well, depending on.
Actually, that is a good point. Yes, because I think you are correct in that he could declare an ARO that is currently invalid but may become valid.
Yes. Typically, there won't be a repeat.
I forgot that interaction.
Typically, there won't be a repeater on the console, so there won't actually be any other legal ARO for that hacker to do aside from that, but it will reveal them, and then Nick could just decide to not press the button, or do something else, or put down a mine, or whatever.
It's interesting because it's probably the first time I've ever heard of a two-way fork where technically your opponent's ARO is forking you and you are forking their reaction.
We're confusing ourselves here. They don't have a legal ARO until you declare the skill.
But that's why they're preemptively declaring.
Oh, sorry. I had a repeater covering his hacker.
If you have the repeater, yeah. If you've got the repeater, it's way different.
So when my hacker activated, he has a hacker in my hacking area, and after the first short skill, he has a valid ARO.
Yes. Yep.
That's what I was.
Yep, that makes sense. Typically, though, you guys, you won't have to. You don't get an ARO until they declare the activate skill, at which point you now have an ARO. Which you can. I don't know if you're legally allowed to dodge off of that. Are you? Legally, you're allowed to dodge whenever you get an ARO.
No, I believe it's the conditions for it are if there are any enemy hackers within any area of interest, one of them can declare an ARO to oppose the specialist. So the conditions allow you to declare a single ARO.
Yep.
Also, the conditions to declare a dodge ARO won't be met.
The conditions to declare a dodge ARO are you have an ARO.
Get the feeling you have to be either in line of sight or zone of control.
That's typically how you get an ARO. But anyway.
Interesting thing about that, especially if you are going first or whatever, and you have hidden deployment hackers like that guy did, is the fact that using this ARO does allow you to have guys hidden and then have them reveal for the sake of orders in your coming up turn, especially if you're like, let's say you're playing Ariadne, they don't have a hacker. You could do that fearlessly because they can't hurt you. Well, can't hurt you with hacking.
It's an interesting way of adding like a unique aspect to button presses that we haven't seen before. You don't want to make the button free, because if you let second player have the button for free, they're pretty much always going to get it, and it's worth 3 points in a game. But if you do contest it, it's like guided rolls. Someone rolls a 3 and another person rolls a 4, and then the next one they miss, and then the next one they miss after that, and then they roll a 7 and you roll a 10, and you're like, oh my god, that took 4 orders to press a button and I'm whipped 15 or something silly. It can turn into a pit, and it is definitely worth to do it as well. Oh,
only other thing to note is that the first player gets to deploy for the most of the game the only zone that matters, which is the special interest zone.
Yeah, I feel like the approach for first and second player are some of the most asymmetric in this scenario, barring the other scenario that actually has attacker defender.
So
I think the first player has the advantage of being able to dominate the special area of interest quite easily. And the second player is in a position where they basically have to activate the antenna on at the bottom of one to avoid falling behind.
Yeah.
The roles are almost
Yeah, that makes sense.
reversed. The player going first gets an alpha, which probably won't be super potent because you don't want to overextend because most of the objectives are in your half of the table. The second player, after taking a alpha strike, has to recover really well and push into the other half of the table by at least turn 3. If you flub a little bit, if your first turn's a bit weak, if your opponent punches you back really hard, it's going to be incredibly difficult to get onto the other side of the table and dominate that special zone, which is worth 2 points at the end of the game and 1 point each round for 4 points total. So it's worth more than even the button, and your opponent can definitely just win off of putting 150 points in that zone and then just, I killed your gun because I went first, or, yeah, it's an interesting role of reversal, and it almost makes me feel like wanting to go first every single time. I think this is an auto first for me.
Yeah, and I think a couple of these missions sort of like a null deploy, where like this one, I don't really see the need to have a really heavy ARO presence. I mean, obviously you don't want to let your opponent have an easy sort of throw a dude in your face, but like, what are you going to do? Just like, he puts the special zone of control in the back corner, and he puts a couple of dudes on it. What are you going to do about that? Nothing. There's just nothing you can do. I mean, unless you got a million snipers to fire from one DZ to the next, there's nothing you can do. So you're fine with hiding and making your guys really difficult to shoot, because like there's nothing interesting on your side of the table. He's right. The main thing is he's going to try and lock you into your half to stop you getting across.
Yeah, second player has more freedom to null deploy in area of interest than in most scenarios.
Yeah.
Another interesting aspect is, due to this weird dynamic, mobility is either like essential and incredibly valuable, or not that important, depending on if you go first or second.
I think the only reason you put like you'd want to make sure you have mobility or auto efficiency or whatever in your list is because you don't know whether you're going to be that first.
Absolutely.
Or second player.
And that kind of the kind of role of like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go first or second. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to use like a general list. Like, I don't think this mission really requires massive tailoring. It just requires good knowledge of the list and like a good, well thought out turn more than anything. I think
this is almost like Infinity Mechanics, the mission.
Yeah, it's going to reward people who know how to make the most out of every unit and delay you as much as possible, or like know the best way of like anchoring a unit kind of in places to kind of prepare for a turn 3, that kind of thing. Rather than, I'm going to tailor a list for this, like drop troops and smoke and super fast guys and really aggressive link teams, because you get the really aggressive link team and then you go first, and sure, you might throw it, but then you don't want to throw 100 points on your opponent's side of the table. They might die. Like, it's weird. I think it's just a mission you kind of just play and don't think about too much.
Yeah.
All right. Did we miss anything?
Probably, but we should move on anyway.
Probably. All right. Now comes the most divisive mission. It is crossing lines. In a nutshell, you want to dominate the dead zones every single round, and you want to activate a couple of antennas. That's the whole mission. There's 2 antennas, 2 dead zones. You want to dominate them. You want to dominate them at the end of the game. You want to press some buttons. Don't forget, anything that isn't your deployment zone is an exclusion zone. And those are the things you want to dominate.
So I broke it down as probably the least specialist needy mission we have. There's 2 buttons, end of the game, no classifieds, no other. Deployment nuance, I kind of simplified it as it's crossing lines because crossing lines has so much nuance to its deployment that it can't really be summarized well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mobility needs moderate because you're already starting with a fair bit of your stuff up the board, and you just need to move slightly onto their side of the board to score points. No real other needs beyond those.
I think what it's caught me out a couple of times is the dead zones are deceptively narrow. If you've got something that's
They
too
are 8
quick,
inches.
it can jump from one side of the dead zone to the other in a single order, and you'll be like, "Yeah, no, I'm
Yep.
good," and you're like, "No, you're in my DZ right now."
Yep.
Remember on this one that there's no HVT and no treasure chest because there's no legal place to deploy them on the table.
Well, I think HVTs you can legally deploy in exclusion zones.
They have to be at least 4 inches out of TZs.
There's 4 in that's a, yeah,
No,
because
he's right. There's no,
If
there's
the
no
DZs
legal
are 8
spot.
inches apart.
is it DZs
no.
or is it your DZ?
It's your DZ. It's your DZ. The main reason I say
it literally
HVT
doesn't matter anyway, though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
HVT. The only thing I think is that HVT you may as well not deploy, but the treasures you may as well because you're such a. If you got a such a, you can still pull shit out of it.
If you can, honestly, you're gonna spend an order and you're gonna pull +1 armor. Don't bother. Reduce the mental load. Just don't deploy it.
Treasure tokens must be a minimum of 4 inches out of any deployment zone.
There you go. It's illegal.
Then you can't deploy it.
So
yeah.
there is no legal placement on the board that is more than 4 inches out of all deployment zones.
Yep. Then you can't use them.
Yep. So this is the crazy mission. This is the classic. Everything is end of round or end of game. But it gives first player the ability to potentially get you off the table in a single turn. Honestly,
Yes.
keep in mind, a lot of people are going to be thinking, what's the best 75 points I can put in the forward zone? If you're going second, anything you put in that zone, consider it dead. It has stuff in front of it. It has stuff behind it. Most infinity tables will not support you getting cover from a 360-degree area. There will probably always be a way to get something out of cover. So I would never put anything super valuable in there. I think the best things to put in there are like hidden deploy stuff, mine layers, really cheap camo markers like Goudan. I think Goudan are sick for stuff like this, or like Beast Hunters. But not like a hard ARO piece, even if it's like a close range thing, like a TR Evo bot or something silly.
I think there's 2 approaches to going second. The first is, like you said, the minimum deployment, the hidden deploy, marker states to eat orders. The other thing I'd add to that is a flash bot for the repeater. So if you're running enough hackers, deploy a repeater in there in an awkward place that's just order intensive to get to. So on a building or any place in a corner where they can't just go at right away. And since you're going second, it can be your reserve drop. The other approach would be spamming. So if you already have, say, 6 or 8 models that can go into that 75 points with a whole bunch of irregulars, with chain rifles and that type of thing, that could potentially be enough if you're willing to sacrifice that to kill a fair bit of what your opponent put down and try to get situations where you're making the opponent's activations difficult because you could ARO a template over another model. It's only a 4-inch deployment zone.
Yeah. Things like the. I was gonna say things like like the Dale Army. I can't think of anything else that's similarly cheap. You don't really care if they die. Like,
Gudin.
can have a lot of impact if they do pop off. Yeah, Gudin, things with like, there's a couple of things like zappers or flamethrowers. Like, the most expensive thing I can think of that I might want to put in there going second is the shit. What's the ARO thing for Hakazam, the heavy infantry one?
Oh,
Sing
the
Dubba?
Sonic Butt?
Yeah, with like the viral rifle or something like that, because you got close range. You can put it in the dude's face and just be like, yeah, deal with this guy.
One that I was looking at, and I'm not bringing Morats, so I won't be doing it. A pure core of 5 Dot Arazi is under 75 points, and it gives them all 6 cents. And +1 on their grenade, it's not +1 on the grenade throws because they have fizz. But it's still 2 dice on grenades with 6 cents that you can string along the entire zone.
That's stupid.
That's really funny.
The problem is deploying a core in a 4-inch strip where they have to be within 8 inches of like the center dude or whatever.
Yeah.
Tournament tables are already bad enough. Do not bank on that 4 inches being decent at all.
Yeah.
No.
And that is doggone.
But they're all 6 cents with +1 to dodge.
I get that, but
yeah,
statistically, like, yes, you get to smoke dodge if I shoot you in the back or whatever. It's still going to be like 4 or 5 dice on good numbers.
Yeah, it's an idea for sure.
It could definitely work, but I wouldn't bank my round 3 on it.
Yeah, I would honestly say if you don't have camo, hidden deployment, or like you said, if your opponent puts down heavy infantry and you could put a repeater right next to them for the hackers to shut them down, that's awesome. If you don't have any of that, I don't know what army you'd be running that doesn't have any of that. You're gonna have to just take the your first turn's gonna be a draw because you're gonna command your DZ, they're gonna command their DZ. Oh, sorry, they're dead zones, and you're gonna work from there because most people going first playing this game are gonna have some beat stick, like awful thing that they're going to put into that zone that you're just not gonna be able to ARO well enough up that close.
One thing, and it was brought to my attention that apparently it changed between the two with the updated version of ITS 17. The 75 points that you can put in your forward deployment zone is during the deployment phase.
Yes.
As opposed to, I believe it was originally phrased as you can deploy 75 points. So after the deployment phase is done, it's just a normal deployment zone for you, so it doesn't restrict parachutists or failed combat jumps from walking on there.
Yes, which is a big thing to mention with this is that mid-board combat drops, you can try and be a little bit spicy with them, because if they do fail, your combat drop probably won't end up too far from his target destination, being that you can be put essentially on like the 4-inch sides of your forward deployment zone.
While setting up, because the deployment zones are only 4 inches, definitely look at what stuff is touching the board edge in those 4 inches, because I've definitely seen tables where they will put a building up against the board edge because it's great. It blocks off sight lines, it makes it more flexible. However, it's very easy for a board to block off a 4-inch section of board edge. So when you can freely measure the deployment zones, take note of
Didn't even think of that.
whether you or what options you have to bring on troops from the side in that forward deployment zone.
Yeah, didn't even think about that.
Or
That's
in my
that's a good idea, going either turn first, like whether you're picking right sides or not. You can be like, I want the side that has the better parachutist zone because I need it, or I want that to stop my opponent.
potentially, I think people are going to overthink this mission. It's way too context based. faction, first or second, table, especially table. I think you shouldn't even bring a parachutist if you can manage it. Honestly, I would invest into HD or a camera marker over parachutist.
Yeah.
I think with your list, you should have an idea of, if I go first, here's the 75 points that I have set aside to deploy there. If I go second, here's my plan for deploying into that area. And be completely ready to break that as soon as you see what your opponent is playing.
Yes. Yep.
Or the table. Yeah.
I would say the only rule for this this one is, I think, first turn, right? Take the advantage of that forward deployment zone and be aggressive. Take your 24-inch range gun that can annihilate people at that range, and push really hard on your opponent, because that's the point of going first in this mission. If you don't do it, I'm not really sure what you're doing at that point.
Yep. You need to push your opponent's shit in first turn, and you need to do it really well.
Target the lieutenants, target the heavy hitters, get in the range bands of the snipers and the HMGs and all that sort of thing. Just remember though, because if you also plan that unit to sort of hold the far DZ, remember to save an order or two to pull back, because again, you will very easily get into the deployment zone, be fighting and run out of orders, and you won't be controlling their zone.
Yep.
I have had that come up at games where my opponent pushed to clear my dead zone and overcommitted, and when we measured at the end of the round, he was in my deployment zone, not the dead zone.
Yep. It's so easy to do. I've done it with Wolvers. I've done it with just like Mendoza. I mean, again, I'm playing MO. It's so easy to do. It's ridiculous.
Just keep it mental.
About looking at where the deployment zones are. In missions like this, I will, while we're setting up, try to find a landmark on the board that I can refer to for knowing where the deployment zone lines are. For the middle ones, it's not as difficult because you've got the two objectives there that are on the midline, and you can know, like, you should have a fairly good idea what 4 inches from that is. But for my deployment zone and my opponent's deployment zone edges, it's good to try to have a landmark to go roughly here. If I'm on this side, I should be in the dead zone. If I'm on this side, I should be in their deployment zone.
Yep. In any case,
God, be careful with 40-inch bases in those zones.
In any case, don't stress too much about this mission. I don't think. If you want to make a freaky list for it, you can. But I think the next mission is maybe in the entire packet the mission that wants a list for itself the most, potentially, and that is corporate appropriation, or smash the prototype. Which prototype? No one can remember. So, in a nutshell, you want to capture the enemy prototype, preferably in your DZ. You want to destroy your own prototype, only if it's past round 1. Then you want to open up some panoplies and do 3 classifieds, but only if you want to. Don't forget, there's a 4-inch exclusion zone, and you can only move as the first skill when you're trudging around with a prototype. You can dodge with the second one, but you cannot move as the second short skill.
Yeah. So I broke this down as, for specialist needs, buttons, there's none. Classifieds, there are 3, but no other real specialist needs in this. Deployment nuance, as mentioned, there's a little tiny exclusion zone along the middle, so you can't start touching the objective. Mobility needs, I just put variable for this because you can have different approaches that will require different amounts of mobility, and depending on what your opponent does, can also change your mobility needs.
Yes.
For other needs of anti-material CCW, you can pull from the panoplies for decharges as well. And this one, I think, has the highest bunker potential of the entire mission set. If you can grab your objective on turn 1 and run it back, and if your opponent doesn't have Parachutist Deployment Zone, you can potentially just bunker in a corner and make your opponent spend more orders than they can before they get to your objective.
And that's only if the parachutist has anti-material. Like, I know a Razyat does, for example, but not all of them have anti-material. And don't bank on the fact that you are going to get to that panoply, open it, and then get to the prototype and smash it, because that's not happening.
There are a few armies or sectorials where you really have to bank on, not necessarily having anti-material, but you have to bank on like look at the units that have D charges. I'm looking at any of the OSS players. Look at the units that have D charges and make sure you have a ton of them, because there are some that just purely lack any decent close combat anti-material weapons.
Even then, I am more comfortable placing a decharge than attacking it with Shona. Like, the Auto 8, like, I know Shona's great at CC. She doesn't get her bonus to CC. She's only on 23s. If I roll bad, I get stunned. But that decharge is not face-to-face, and it just happens. So I'm banking on decharges way more than I'm banking on Shona. Just because the failure state isn't because of the prototype. It might be because of something else. It might be because something shoots you. But there is no if you can get into contact with the prototype and nothing's like hassling you, you can just place 3 decharges and that should blow it up.
I suppose
placing decharges. Placing decharges is the safe way to go if you have plenty of orders to do so. Smacking it is what you do only if you don't have decharges or you are in an order tight situation.
Yeah, I mean, I remember there was one time where I just had to be like, I'll see if I crit with my DA weapon, because that's the only option I had.
One thing that's really interesting, that's actually incredibly valuable for this mission, is guard. If you have a unit with guard like Andromeda's excellent at this. The Juggernaut is like a tailor-made tag built for this mission. Guard is surprisingly effective.
Do they both have anti-material?
Yeah.
Andromeda has D-charges, or a DA, DA at PS4.
as well, which is both, I think.
The Juggernaut also has a DA, and he's burst 2, so that's nice.
Yeah, I think just also remember for anyone playing is monofilament, and I think T2 are not anti-material anymore.
T2 is anti-material.
It is
T2 is?
It monofil and Vorpal.
But not AP. Come on, CP.
No, yeah. Duroc is one of the 2 deployment zone parachutists who can't destroy the box.
So
Van Zant and Margot, good to go. Duroc, not punching that hard.
So I found in this mission, you got to kind of keep in your head. Don't think of it as friendly and enemy. Think of it as the one you want to capture and the one you want to smash. And the opponent wants to do the opposite. So the one you want to capture is the one your opponent wants to smash. Don't think of it as friendly and enemy, because you will get twisted very, very easily. And like halfway through a game, you might be like, oh no, I actually meant the other one is the one that I wanted to, is my one. And you go, is your one's the one you want to smash? And it kind of sounds counterintuitive. So kind of just picture it as capture and smash.
Yeah,
at the start of the game. At the start of the game, I always clarify with my opponent: this is the one I want to blow up. This is the one you want to blow up.
Yeah.
Therefore, this is the one that I want to grab, and this is the one that you want to grab.
And there've been RTS missions where you decide things at the beginning, of the game that you can like forget and figure out later. This one, you cannot. You have to determine which one is which before anyone puts anything down, because it's so freaking important. And you have to decide which one you like. Do you want one that's easy for you to ARO but potentially hard for you to go and destroy, or or do you have one that's easy for you to go and destroy, but then the other one's hard for you to ARO? I don't know how that goes, but you have to make the decision on like, can I protect that one really well? Can I destroy that, or can I capture that one really well? The other thing, and I think this goes for this mission especially, is have a plan to go and run and destroy your panoply, because there are plenty of units in this game.
Prototype.
Sorry, yeah, the prototype, because there are plenty of units in this game that can completely block any sort of line of sight. Grab your prototype, run it back in one turn, and there's nothing you can do about it. You cannot deploy on it to ARO properly. Even if you did, they throw out an eclipse grenade on it or something like that, and you can't see through it. They grab it, they run back, they're gone. There's nothing you can do about it.
Always bank on the first player grabbing the prototype and running away.
And they should. They should do that. That should be practically your only goal. The first turn is, under the cover of whatever, go grab that prototype, bring it back, bunker up, because ultimately that's all you've got.
It's also not a roll, so there's
it doesn't require a specialist.
It doesn't require a specialist. So there's no like, oh, maybe my HD unit can reveal when he picks it up, and maybe like even if he fails, if he gets it 4 or 6 inches in the right direction, something else picks it up and then runs away. So this is a brutal mission. On that note, assume that the game state after round 1 is going to be one prototype in one DZ, the other prototype in another DZ. The goal then is either smash the prototype on the other side of the table, or max out classifieds. Classifieds in this mission, I think, are probably the most important in any mission aside from the classified mission, obviously. But if you can...
Deceptively important.
Yeah, it's deceptively important to do all 3 classifieds.
Yeah.
And open panoplies, of course. That one point could actually be quite important.
Yes. Don't forget, as you walk...
Yeah. As player 1, you probably need to open up a box once every turn, at least. Because if you don't open your first turn, and your opponent goes 1, 2, and 3, your last turn, at least 2 orders are spent opening up the panoply twice, because you have to at least catch up.
I would almost say that as first player, like, you have to open the panoplies, but assume that you're going to not get that point.
Yeah, you have to put your opponent on the back foot.
Command tokens left. Yeah. So if it's close, unless you can get up by several, assume you've lost that point. Your opponent can, if they have a command token left on the final turn, coordinate order panoply. And just compete for it, but realize that the threshold you have to reach over what your opponent has is higher than it looks.
Yeah. So this is a mission where, like, the focus and the way the mission's put together is destroying the prototypes and capturing the prototypes. Well, but there's actually a shit ton around it that can be the difference between you winning and losing the game, because it might be that you both capture each other's panoplies, can never get close enough to it, and then it is a game of prototypes, and then it's a game of who can get the most out of the panoplies.
Yeah, who can do the most classifieds?
Stupid, but that might be what it will be.
If you have to send stuff over to the other side of the board to destroy their panoply, or to destroy their objective, remember that there's a panoply on the other side of the board you can pick decharges up from.
True.
And remember don't park the prototype near the panoply.
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. All right.
So that I think we've kind of summarized really well why I think I kind of have a general list, and I'm struggling with a second list. I think my second list will be specifically for this mission because it is super focused. Like, I think the game state 90% of the time is going to be 2 prototypes and 2 DZs. I think like disco balls are super prevalent. There's stuff to dodge mines that you place there and all that kind of jazz. Like most of the ARO stuff, you're going to be lucky if you can prevent your opponent from picking it up on their first turn. If they have a full suite, like even 12, 13 orders, it's going to be difficult for that.
Yeah.
So you really have to plan to play basically capture and protect. You need like either a
Pretty
drop
much.
troop with D charges, or you need like a missile, like Shona or something along those lines, or something with like you need a plan to deal with it.
Yeah, this probably needs the most like generalist list possible. It needs speed. It needs like anti-materials. It needs a good ARO presence. It needs visual control. It needs a decent number of specialists, at least enough that you'll always have a choice of what objectives you pick. Other thing to remember, especially for this one, because we talked about sort of ignoring it for a whole bunch of the other missions. Secure HVT or secure the treasure.
Very important.
If you have a crappy classified, you need to sort of make a plan for how do I get close to that opponent's HVT? What do I put there to stay there and capture it for me?
This is also, if anything, this is the one mission you don't want to bundle them up. Because that classified is so important. Don't put the HVT in the... Just normalize putting them on opposite corner edges of the table. Like, make the HVT have the safe spot behind a box and just put the treasure token wherever. Just make sure it's way far away from the HVT.
And if you find yourself in that draw sort of state, it might be time to think of, where's that guy's Sacha? I need to kill that goddamn Sacha.
Even that. The other thing to consider as well, smashing the prototype and preventing your opponent from controlling it are worth the same, or around the same amount of points. I'm not specific about the points. But if you don't think you can smash it, shoot the person who's holding it.
Yeah, because it is relatively tough, isn't it? It's like armor 4 or something.
It's armor 6 and 3 wounds.
Oh, even worse.
Yep. But it does mean that the plan turns from like, I need to spend so many orders and I don't have anti-material, to I land the drop troop that doesn't have anti-material and I cap this guy in the head, and I think you lose 2 or 3 points for doing that.
Yeah. It's 1 point versus 3.
Yeah. So that could win you the game. That could make your bad classified draw less bad. But yeah, don't get too focused on the smash. There's many different ways to get points in this scenario. But it also seems like a scenario that's fairly easy to draw as well.
Yeah, I could very much see that everyone gets all 3 classifieds, draws on the panoplies. I think if you're in that position as a second turn player, you should just pull at the panoplies, get that 1 point, and call the game quits.
All right. Thankfully, the last mission's probably the easiest to understand, and it's Hardlock. In a nutshell, you want to activate some consoles, preferably more than your opponent. Each round, you want to control the other guy's beacon. Try not to let yours be controlled at the end of the game. And then if you feel like it, do a classified. And don't forget, if you want to grab the beacon, you first have to have at least one activated console.
So I broke this down. Specialist needs buttons. There's 3. They're at the end of the game, but they can win you the game.
It's a 5-point swing if you have more than your opponent. It's huge. It's half of the points in the entire game.
Yep. other notes on specialist, you need an early button press if you're going to try to go for their beacon. Deployment nuance? Yeah, none. It's a pretty straightforward deployment. I
For
said for
once.
mobility needs, probably high, because I feel like you really should have a plan to go for their beacon, but it's not necessarily a plan that you need to follow through with once you see the board state. Other needs, because those 3 beacons need to be pressed to the end of the game, or sorry, those 3 buttons need to be pressed at the end of the game, and they are worth half the points of the game, you need survivable specialists. If your opponent scalpels all your specialists out, you lose the game.
Yep. I think the beacon is a luxury, and
Yeah.
don't, like, my turn 1, honestly, I'm pressing buttons. I'm not aiming for that beacon. There's so much potential to go wrong with trying to grab that beacon, overextending and cutting yourself short and putting yourself on the back foot turn 1. You kind of need to cull your opponent, as Nick says, cull your opponent's specialists if you're going first, and try to win through that. This is a game mode. This is basically acquisition. I'm not planning around the beacon. If I'm honest, it's not worth enough points.
The beacon grabbing has always been a luxury. Back capture protect, a version of this mission, getting all the way into your opponent's, like, essentially DZ, grabbing that thing and then bringing it all the way back, because generally it has, at the end of the game round, have a control in your DZ. Essentially, you have to look at your opponents and go, oh, they've made a massive mistake. It's the only way you're going to be able to do it.
It's just control every round.
It doesn't matter where the beacon is. You don't have to pick up the beacon to control it. You just have to put a troop in base contact with it and be there at the end of the round.
I mean, if you could do that with on first turn, I want to know what freaking model you did it with.
Impersonator.
Can markers control?
No, you just move up right next to it, go prone, and then activate them and dodge, and to break marker state.
Sure.
Yeah, but you're having to do that.
You don't have to.
You're having to do that as a second player, and if I see an impersonator going first, I'm capping that dude in the head, like, first time.
Yeah.
Like, you have to. And there is a plan to do that.
Yeah.
But you're essentially, like, that, let's say Fade, that Fade can get you 1 objective point and then die the next turn. This is my theory is using that Fade to kill their biggest, baddest specialist, I think, is more valuable.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
I think this will be a case of, if you're going first, you're trying to lock your opponent. So lock your opponent in their half, right? Try and keep them off the buttons. Like, try and stop them from getting across the table. If you're going second, I think if you are going second, you're very much gonna have to, I guess, either sort of give up on the idea of controlling the beacon, at least for the first 2, first 1, if not 2 turns, or do what you said, Nick, which is if you've got the right army, I can't even think of an army that has the correct units for it, where you can put something cheap-ish camo to sit there on the beacon at the end of the round to then die the next round.
Yeah, if you're going second, if your opponent leaves a lane open that you could potentially walk a model to the beacon, pick your cheapest unit, push them across, go, I'm touching the beacon, don't even have to pick it up, and it's end of the round, so I score a point.
Yep.
I think the beacons,
Jordan's favorite, and send a moderator to do it.
Yeah, like, I think the beacons aren't required, but they're very useful, because if you can score a beacon, it puts mounting pressure on your opponent.
Let me look at scoring. I have a theory, and I might be wrong. Let's see. So each button is a point, and then more is 2. So if you had 2 buttons and your opponent had 1, it's 4-1. Let's say you both do classified, then it's 4-2. You'd have to control the beacon every round.
5-2 at that point.
Yeah, sorry, 5-2. You'd have to control the beacon every round to make that a draw. You then get the point.
You'd have to control it because if you're controlling it the final round, they don't get a point for having their beacon uncontrolled.
So let's say 2 rounds, including the final round.
Mm-hmm.
In that regard, it might be worth it in the last round as the last player. Absolutely, if you've got that, go for it. But I actually think the buttons are obvious. Like, they have to be the clear plan here. Like, if you could do it round 1, even with a Fide or a camo marker, like, is throwing away that marker for a single objective point when it might not matter just because of how the scoring works? Is it worth it? I don't actually know if doing it for 1 round, let's say round 1, is putting your opponent on the back foot.
It puts a little bit more pressure on making sure they have that classified objective, making sure that they are up on buttons by more, but I do see your point. It's an opportunistic thing that can put pressure on your opponent, rather that pressure is actually as much as it seems.
Yeah, I was just thinking. That's all.
I think if the Fide has an obvious target to go for, then you send it to go for that target. But if it doesn't, I mean, Fides are only models like that aren't particularly expensive.
It's
I reckon I'm a little bit with. Well, it's not. Yeah,
okay. Put it like this: if you're the first player, or let's say you're the second player, and somehow your Fide has survived the first round because it's on a rooftop drone or something, there should always be a good target to go for. There should always be a target for that Fide to smack, unless every single specialist in their army is like Deferson with Monster CC.
Yeah. No, you're right. Like,
for a single point. Like, if that Fide literally lasts the whole game, throw that motherfucker on the beacon turn 3. 100%. That's a 2-point swing right there. Or a 3-point swing. I can't, It's a swing of some amount of points.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, when you take a look at it, in reality, the beacon only consists of 4 points out of a 10-point game. So just by the nature of how many points, right, they can give you compared to just the consoles can give you 5 points. So focus on the consoles. There's more points to be had there.
Well, if no one touches a beacon the entire game, you can still score 7 points.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. And that I kind of see that's how it's playing out. I played a game against Hector, and we were just flip-flopping the buttons, and that's basically all we did. And I went second, so I won because I flip-flopped the button last.
Yeah.
I do think this is a mission you pick deployment in all the time, and then pick the side that the beacons have the most defensibility and the most ease of access from. 100%.
Yeah.
Because you
especially for like one's really defensible or something like that.
Yeah, and it's a generalist enough mission as well that, like, depending on your faction, specialists are easy to come by, and you just press buttons, and you could decide not to, like, just let your opponent press the buttons and just cull your opponent first and then press the buttons, and kind of make it impossible for your opponent to do it in return. It just depends on what faction you're playing, I guess.
Well, if you go second and you have 2 infiltrating hidden deploy specialists, how do you defend against that?
Sensor. That's it. No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right, because they're pretty much always going to get a free press on the button if they're not dead last round. Like Oban players
They get
are
a free press.
laughing.
They get a free press no matter what,
Yeah.
because they reveal and press the button, and you can ARO them, but they'd still get that roll to press the button unopposed.
Yep. So maybe sense is really important for Hardlock, but there's not that many factions that are going to be rocking that. And if you have all three buttons pressed, like making your opponent play the entire game going second without, let's say, 70 points of their army because it's off the table, that's also going to be rough as well. So there are
that's two orders that they're down. So
yeah, but as Nick says, if you put them in retreat, they're just you're banking on like 2 dice on 13s. If you land both of them, you win the game.
true, but how often have we playing this game flubbed 2 rolls on 13s?
Every single game. Every single game. But I do like this mission last. It's nice and simple. It reminds me of Classic Infinity. It's press buttons. It's good. Hopefully it's not a mission where people can go 2 hours over time. We'll see.
I suppose the other thing is it is a bit of it is just sort of a scuffle in the middle.
It is. It feels very much like a Classic Infinity mission.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, those are the missions. Sorry to take an hour to talk about missions, but it was very important. Now let's move on to Nick's compiled list of mission needs.
Yes, behold. So, yeah, basically looking through, most missions either have a fair number of buttons or classifieds. So, looking to be heavy on specialists regardless of mission. We've got fairly high mobility for most of the missions, and deployment is all over the place, from radial to vanilla. And then, look at others, some that are potentially bunkered. Again, back to, we've got hacker bonus, we've got survivable specialists needed for Hardlock, because if you don't have specialists, you lose Hardlock.
Yes.
So this lets me just kind of see it all in one place, so I don't have to hold 5 missions in my head at once.
It adds context to the entire lineup of what is required.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd almost, actually, looking at this table is super helpful, because I'd almost say that day one, if you're going for 2 lists, you're not doing a general list, you could almost have a day 1 list, right, where you've got high speed, couple of specialists, and then day 2 is your like higher specialists, sort of some level of speed. I think the main takeaway is people need to look at like, what are your fast units, what are your mobile units, because I think all of these missions to some extent benefit from a level of a high movement.
I do have hot
Or
takes for
even just,
mobility, but we will get to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Anything more, Nick, about your lovely table?
Yeah, I guess the reason I'm doing this is, it's 5 missions. They're all new. This way I can not have to hold them all in my head at one time to try to think about all 5 of them. But also because I have a list that I have been enjoying and I would like to bring to Cancon, I want to be able to see, will it actually function well enough to be worth bringing it to Cancon?
Well, let's have a look, shall we? Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh, there we go.
So the current list that I am enjoying running is Onyx. It is a Syriot HMG Lieutenant, 2 Umbra Legate HD+, 2 Umbra Samaritan HDKHD, an Icadron, an R-Drone, a Guided Missile Bot, a Malignos killer hacker, and a Fracta hacker.
What the fuck? That
Because the Legats have NCO and the Umbras have Tech Aware, don't they?
other way
The
around.
Legates have TAC Aware, and Samaritans have NCO.
Other way around.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The Syriot provides an extra lieutenant order, and if I'm going second, all the Legates can jump into a core with the Syriot to get a fireball.
And it's not dockable.
Correct. It ends up being 10 effective or 10 orders that count toward being dockable.
Oh, because the
table.
Malignos is hidden.
Malignos and
The
Fracta
Malignos
off
is
the
hidden,
table.
the Fracta's hidden.
The Fracta's off the table.
So it's 8 orders plus 2 TAC Aware, but it's also plus 2 lieutenant orders that don't count and can be used by NCO.
So it's a 12 order list with things being hidden.
Yep.
Yes.
Gross.
So, yes, it's fun to show the list to others, and I get to hear this delightful little like combination of a groan and a sigh. It's yeah. So
long as those pictures go off, yeah.
Sufficient specialists, check. It's running 6 specialists, and there's
Sufficient
11
specialists.
Well, it's 6 specialists, of which they have 11 wounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Potentially
more than half your
Yeah.
list is specialists.
More than half his list is hackers. Where's
Turn 3 specialists, so the survivable.
Yeah.
I've got an HD, a hidden deploy hacker, and a combat jump hacker. So those can, as we just potentially just not show up until turn 3 in Hardlock, to make sure I have pocket specialists to fall back on there.
And a survival
High mobility.
a survivable specialist in that Fracta, because it's like it's practically 2 wounds as well.
It is 2 wounds, and its armor and VTS go up when it takes the first wound. It's a weird reverse Toha.
Yes.
High mobility, most of the RB is 6'2", and some of those are super jump as well. Plus infiltrating, plus combat jump. Anti-material CCW, check. And the plan for crossing lines is just hidden deploy the Malignos and put the R drone up there and spotlight everything that isn't hackable.
Yep. Ooh, it's nasty.
And all of these guys, do they all dodge on +3 as well?
Only the Samaritans
distance?
do. The Legates don't. But the Legates have Mimetism and BS 13.
And the Samaritans have super jump, which is incredible for corporate appropriation, because then technically aren't you moving 8-4 if you do it right?
You're moving 8 and then dodging potentially 2. Yeah.
I thought they
you're
had
dodging
+2
4
ranges.
on the second order, potentially on 15s.
Yeah, 8-4's huge.
It's
On a model that
it's a
small.
crazy list. When it works, it works. Have you found that there are certain things you just can't get through?
I've got K1 combis for armor. My biggest issue is the fact that Onyx has no vision control, except white noise. So if they've got a bunch of MSV snipers, I'm golden. But all 4 Umbras can cybermask.
That's true. Coordinate order cybermask.
And
Incredibly order efficient.
so, yes, I have had games where like my opponent is in a dominant position and I've pushed up the board and then just go, I break every fire team and coordinate order cybermask. go. That also means that if there's a situation where the AROs are difficult to push through without vision control, Samaritan gets slingshot up using the Legate Tackaware orders until it needs to go Cybermask, and then you're back to its super jumping 8 inches in Cybermask. If they discover it, as long as I get to a spot where they can't see it after the second part, then it may as well be a 8-inch, or it may as well be a 10-inch cautious move.
Yeah.
I know we're not doing pimp my list things there. Any reason you haven't taken the Umbra Spitfire just for the sake of some range?
Doesn't need it.
Because it's not a hacker and it can't cybermask itself to survive.
No, it's fair enough.
The aim of the game, it feels like it's
it
just
was in an earlier edition.
Yeah, it feels like it's just overwhelming numbers, which doesn't really make sense with limited insertion. But if there's pictures on the table, it doesn't matter what hacker. Like, it doesn't matter if you're the best hacker, if you're an anathematic, if you're an Asura, if you're a corrupted LT hacker. There's nothing you can do to fight potentially 6 hacking AROs coming at you. Realistically. I know, Nick, you've had some bad luck, but...
Yeah.
I
had
think
Dartok kill 2 Samaritans in 2 orders by taking them both out at the same time. That was the cap of a very not good dice game. Yes.
But that's not happening again.
This is what I think I was mentioning earlier. This is like Infinity Mechanics 101, where you taking into account like what happens when you do limited insertion, you like NCO, attack awareness, like you're thinking about how do I survive? You know, even like these guys can survive even if they're out of position because you just one command token, right? I thingo all of them into Cybermask. That at least gives them half an order, if not a full order of you have to discover me first. And if they fuck up the discovery, you're like, cool. Now you can't find me. That guy's safe for the rest of the turn, potentially. And because it's Cybermask, you're safe from
mines.
Sensors.
And and sensors.
Sensors, you're safe from mines, you're safe from splash.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good point. If they're close enough, they can protect each other from splash attacks.
Yeah, potentially. It takes a little finagling to not accidentally break the link, but yeah, if I want the Suryat to take on like a missile launcher, then I can cybermask a model next to him so they can't splash. Now he's getting cover and he has AP immunity.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not the best approach, but it is, trying to weight dice in my favor.
Yeah, I mean, like the only weakness I see in the list is just the weakness of OCF anyway, because it's just like low BS. But that's just what you accept when you play OCF.
Oh, I'd say that it's vision control for OCF.
It's definitely vision
ballistic
control.
Skill isn't. Yeah,
no, there's a lot of things with OCF. That's why they need that freaking update we were promised.
Yeah, no, the ballistic skill in this list, it bottoms out at like 12.
Yeah. The other thing
that's on the Fracta and the Malignos.
Actually, what I just thought of is like I'm thinking, can it deal with a Swiss Guard? Absolutely, it's got pictures and it just bricks the Swiss Guard. But let's say provisioning, you put your stuff in your safe area, you cover it with your repeater. Your hacking is like infinitely more potent in reactive than it is in active. And I think that might be potentially the weakness, is that everything that wants to do stuff is hackable by nature of being a hacker.
Yes.
So
yeah, I have to
reactively,
be very careful with putting pictures out.
Reactively, it's incredible. But in active turn, if you move into my repeater, that's potentially bad news. Which is it's weird. It's very interesting. It's a lovely list.
I mean, I don't think any hacking army has ever been like, yeah, walking into my enemy repeater is a good fucking idea.
I'd do it. I'll take a Dever and just walk into the enemy repeater and go, if you've only got 2 hackers, I'm set. Let's go. Let's roll some dice.
Well, you're a psychopath.
Well,
never had a good
it's a
time
whip
with my
15 killer
opponent's
hacker that can't be
repeater.
isolated. Like, you know,
Oh,
there are
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
hackers that can do it, but Umbra
Yeah.
Samaritans, even though they're good, probably aren't the ones that can face the world. But you can obviously just ignore it because you just cybermask and walk through the repeater.
I challenge you, Nick, to throw that Vorpal weapon as much as possible. I've never used it. I've always wanted to.
It comes up in ARO.
Oh, 100%.
But a lot of times a plasma rifle blast is
That's the problem.
In ARO.
That's the problem. Its gun has always been better than the Vorpal weapon, but I've always just been like, I want to throw 2 Vorpal weapons.
It can come in clutch, man. Like, oh, look, Achilles peeked the corner. Oh, Achilles dead. Yeah. All right, let's move on. I can't remember. Oh, it's me next. Okay. So, I have a list that I've probably played a dozen games or so now. And it's gotten to the point where I'm just not going to change it because I've played it so much. But I think it does it well. I made it originally for provisioning because when new Pano came out, we discovered that most Pano sectorials can wildcard 2 Pathfinder drone bots, effectively giving the link bonus to anything you want with a double tack aware, double sensor bot stuff. So I have the classic Orc HMG slapped with 2 tack aware drone bots. I have a lovely little link of Bolt Sniper, Bolt Killer Hacker, and Quinn, who is unfortunately the vegetables of NCA because he's the cheapest disco ball in the faction. I then have a classic 15-point Auxiliary Fort Observer. I have a Mulebot. I have my Fusilier. Group 2, it's what everyone's dreading. It's the Swissel, who has been oppressive to say the least. Honestly, you can mess up with the Swiss Guard missile launcher and it still does work. Most of the time, it's like the worst numbers a Swiss Guard's going to shoot at, and most of the time is like 12.
Yeah, I mean, you put it in front of a Blackfriar with a link, right? It should have kicked its like the Swiss Guard's ass. Well, I mean, it's the best. It's the best situation pretty much. And no, the Swiss was just like, I don't care. I don't care about you burning. I don't care about anything. I'll just take it and eventually beat you with my BS-15.
Surprisingly enough, MSV I don't actually think is that good against a Swiss Guard. It's still going to be on 15s most of the time, unless you can MSV it in bad range, in which case it's going to be on 12s. 2 dice on 12s with the risk of blowing up to a missile launcher is still nasty. It's still armor 5 and 2 wounds. I think the best way to fight a Swiss Guard is to match it with like more MSV. You got to get the Swiss Guard on lower numbers. You got to increase my chance to miss because you're throwing more dice anyway. Or like, unfortunately, I've been playing against a lot of IA, and a Yun Huo sometimes can just out dice it. 5 dice on 8s versus 2 on 15s, but it is immune arm, so it is only ever taking 1 save. Anyway, oppressive. It's undercosted, honestly, for what it is. You could make it cost 10 points more. I still think people would take it. I think it's just a problem unit in its actual... It's a power spike slightly too high, I think. There probably shouldn't be a MIM 6 BS-15 Burst 2 missile launcher hidden deployment in the game. That's just
Would
my
you still take it
take.
if it lost the special die?
No. The special die is what makes it.
Okay. Yeah,
You could take it, but you may as well take something else. All right, moving on from that, we have a Garuda Fort Observer because they're exceptional. We have the Blocker Hacker because they're exceptional. We have a second Auxiliary Fort Observer. We have a Flashbot, and we have a Warcore. So the beauty of this list is that the Pathfinders and the Orc effectively have 11 orders to do whatever they want. They run up, shoot some stuff, grab the boxes, run away. The Bolt, so this list has like the trio of good guns. It's got a Burst 5 HMG, It's got an MSV multi-sniper, and then it's got a MIM-6 missile launcher, which I think is really good. We do have the best pitches in the game. I have decided not to link it with the CSU because it's a waste of a slot. But the whole idea of this list is turn 1, you try and snipe your opponent's regular hackers. Because, unfortunately, nearly every specialist, aside from Quinn, and technically the Auxilia, but the Oxbots are hackable. So pretty much everything's hackable. So against something like Nick's list, this would do incredibly poorly unless Nick made a bunch of mistakes. I would have to clear pitches before I could do anything. And then, yeah, it's just the Swiss Guard faces the world, and with the radial deployment, it can usually... they are technically closer from tip to tip, but I've found with the radial deployments that the ranges are longer. So you'll often find your missile launcher is in better range more often. And yeah, it's just good. I am considering just running 2 Swiss Guard missile launchers because
fuck off.
I like winning.
That's so gross.
You just take 2 Swiss Guard missile launchers, you take a bunch of Auxilia FO, they're AVA total. The Orcs themselves are MIM-3 360 visor AROs with like flash pulses or heavy flamethrowers. So that's pretty gross. Yeah. This list will fall apart if you kill the hackers. If I have no way to counter your hacking, pretty much everything I have is going to be hackable, and it's going to be really hard for me. Moving on to the second list. This is something I wanted to try because everyone's raving about the 70-point Ulhan, so let's try and throw out the 80-point Ulhan. And it works as expected, it melts everything to slag. So this is probably not the final list. I'm probably going to alter this list to be a bit more corporate appropriation minded. I do want to run an Ulhan though, because it's so great. So we have an Ulhan, we have a Tech B, we have the same Bolt MSV1 Sniper and the Bolt Killer Hacker. I do take the Bolt Killer Hackers, by the way. I have tested the Deva. The Deva is better as a Killer Hacker, but it literally does nothing else. And the Bolt Killer Hacker is a burst 3.5 boarding shotgun in a link and has EM grenades and is a Warhorse Hacker with BTS 6. So if it takes a Trinity in return, it is saving on 15s, which is really, really good. We now have...
It also then gives the link bonus to the multi-sniper.
You do. It's quite awkward giving some bonuses to the sniper. I did want to try and get Hannibal in somehow, but he's not a specialist, which kind of reduces his effectiveness. I do have a blocker and CSU. Yeah, just CSU's in there because the Ulhan's so expensive. We've got the classic Fusilier and Fusilier decoy. Got a flash pulse. Group 2. I have been running lists that have everything on the table, and I found that my opponents are way too comfortable, and if I mess up my deployment a little bit, then I'm kind of in a rough time because pretty much everything starts in my DZ. So I am taking a Hexa Hacker. It keeps one of the hackers off the table. It does have a Panzerfaust, and it lets me kind of make up for my mistakes. If my opponent can kind of get an angle somewhere, I can shoot a BS-13 Panzerfaust at it. I have the Peacemaker, which is really, it's just, Peacemakers are just good. I got a Missile Bot because it's Swick. I have 2 Auxilia FOs and a Sacher. I'd love a Sacher in the other list, but I do not have the points. Sacher's a great 6-point specialist that sometimes pulls a HMG out its butt. It is really good. Lists are pretty standard, I think. Pretty cookie cutter, nothing like Nick's. Just take the good stuff and hope it works.
We've figured out necessarily the standard for NCA. They're so new, but yeah, it's such good shooting in this though.
Excellent shooting. A lot is going to start in your DZ. You do want that auto efficiency. It makes up for it. They do have a lot of tack aware potential.
Yeah.
On this note, something I did want to talk about is tags currently are, I think, you're probably in the best state they've ever been. the removal of specialist bonuses, the ability to throw a specialist 8 inches over a wall into a room, like anything like that, just teleport a specialist 8 inches away, is really, really good. Tags basically are jack of all trade units now.
How are you teleported a specialist?
The thingy, the deploy, whatever.
But I don't think they're perimeter. I think you have to.
Yeah, it's place deployable. It's not a
Is
perimeter
it?
weapon.
I'm cheating, guys.
Yeah.
I am cheating so badly. What's the rule?
It's still a really order efficient. It's still.
Oh yeah.
It's just the type of peripheral. But it's still really order efficient. You just, instead of doing it as late as you might be because you think it can be thrown up 8, you just do it first order if you're not shooting, and it just runs off and does its own thing because it doesn't have to be within 8. You're right.
First order that you don't have a second short skill to do. Just pop it off, and then it goes and does its own thing, and then suddenly your opponent doesn't force you to spend your second half in order, and it opens a box, and then it's wandering around.
And that's one of the great things with tags right now for like things like provisioning for Hardlock. You drop that little in this case crab bot, it can open up the box for you. Yeah, it's only on whip 12 or whip 13. I think some of them can do.
Yep.
For number 13, yeah.
A couple of them are 13.
It grabs a box, the tag grabs a box, they're all quick, they go, drop a box off, Hardlock, same thing. That little guy, while your tag's killing things, it's pressing buttons for you in the midfield. Yeah, no, it's...
Tags are basically dual units. They come with 2 orders most of the time. They come with a specialist that is separate from the gun. So if the specialist dies, the gun doesn't die. And most ARO pieces now aren't MSV, they aren't blah blah blah. They're mostly just like 2 wound ARO. They're just there for longevity more than hard locking your opponent. Tags are just excellent at the moment.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob, take us through.
Oh right, yeah, okay. So plan of attack me for the missions in Cancon. So for the first day, I'm playing MO. So for the first day, doing crossing lines. These aren't in order of what they are on the days, but crossing lines is the name of the game. Will be aggression. Playing MO, I'm a good shot. I'm good at CC. I just want to get in my opponent's face. If I go second, I'll have pulled back a little bit. I probably will put nothing in the mid zone that's not a Trinitarian.
Excellent choice.
Like that's the only thing I'll put in there is a Trinitarian. Everything else will push up, right? I'll accept that I probably won't get that my opponent's forward deployment, their dead zone. And that's it. I just hope I can just smash face in.
Okay.
Provisioning, I think we've spoken pretty much about it a lot in the mission. I'm probably just going to focus on sending up a duo with a specialist or a Harris with a specialist to get that middle box, secure that in my safe zone, and then I will look at like where I'm going to, like what I'm going to do next. It'll just depend on the board state, whether I try and bunker up and push my opponent to have a hard time getting like the other 2 boxes, or whether I go for a third box. It'll just entirely depend on what the board looks like. Safe zone will probably be, I'm sort of envisioning maybe in between 2 objectives to the side, right? Sort of a little like halfway between like the tip of my deployment and the actual midline. I don't know. I think of my practice games, this is the one I'm going to try and practice the most in. Zone of interests, I just really hope I go first so I can shove that special deployment thing
right out
in
front.
the side. Just put my big. I'll show it in a second, but just put my big fuck off core in the zone and just have them defend it for the entire game while I try and do something else.
Yeah.
Corporate appropriation, I mentioned before. Again, I'm just going to sort of put AROs looking at my prototype that they want to run away with, and then hope that I can stop them from taking it. But depending on the army I face, I may have no chance of stopping them anyway. So then it's just focusing on classifieds and maybe, if I can, get to my prototype and break it. Hardlock, focus on the buttons, locking my opponent in their DZ. Like we said,
Classic.
getting that beacon will be a luxury. It always has been. I've never played a game where you have to go grab something and bring it back.
Don't have to bring it back.
This one's
less,
less.
We get you.
Yeah, but this one's less punishing because it used to be like I think this one's only at the end of the game.
End of round.
Oh, it's
End
at
of
the end of
round.
the round. Yeah. It
just doesn't have to be anywhere specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never honestly seen it grabbed before round 2, if not round 3. And
I have, but
the rules haven't changed.
Ivory made a list for capture and protect that was just Hippolyta, spend 10 orders, eclipse up the board, grab it, and run away.
Yeah.
And your opponent can't do anything. But I'm glad that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't say I've never seen it. I have seen it, but it's so bloody rare.
Yeah,
that
it's
just
not
something I
common.
ever planned to do.
Yep.
Right.
All right, take us through.
So, first list is Deferzen with a Bulleteer. So, as a duo,
Classic.
the Bulleteer's there. Bulleteer's there to provide the repeater, the +1 boarding shotguns, really nice.
Heavy shotgun.
Deferzen is... Sorry?
Heavy shotgun.
Did I say boarding shotgun, did I? That's heavy shotgun. Deferzen is just good. Like, the only criticism I have of him is that his CC weapon is a bit meh.
That's true.
Because it's not DA, but everything else about him is just great. I mean, I guess he only has a pistol. Whatever. Next one is a Blackfire, Knight Commander, Crozier Paramedic. Purely for ARO. That Blackfire is such a fucking problem with MSV2, with Albedo, with a heavy rocket launcher plus with the heavy rocket launcher. It can be it's a huge problem in ARO, and it's not half bad in
active
turn if you need it, i.e. there's a Swiss Guard that you have to try and get rid of, even though I failed the last time I tried. Mulebot, which the reason that's in the list I'll get to later, and Mendoza. So this is kind of for crossing lines. And so the idea is, if I go first, it's Mendoza who goes into the like forward deployment zone, the crossing lane deployment zones, because he's just mean. He's quick. He can very quickly get into your DC and start becoming a real problem because he's 6'2". He dodges on 16s, I think, and dodges 4 inches. Everything he has is fire. He's good in CC. He can survive a little bit because he's got like the decoy and everything. He's small. It's just everything about him is good for this sort of mission.
Yep.
Next group is Nana Montesa, paramedic on foot. This was just sort of an experiment to have a specialist to press the buttons in the middle. Also, the good thing is because that the impetuous order will bring the Montesa backwards.
Is it not linked with the next 2 units?
No, it's not linked.
Okay.
It's just by himself.
But
he's on foot because a big problem with the 4-inch deployment zones is if you put them on a bike, they're just too fucking big.
That's true.
It's so hard to find a place to put them. At least the paramedic on foot can go prone. You got the extra special dice, which works well with the Blitzen. It's the specialist, so it can press buttons. Decent in CC, right? So if your opponent does want to put something in their zone, it can go back towards their zone with the impetuous and start punching things.
Yep.
We then got the Teutonic Knight Spitfire NCO X Visor. I've been using this thing. I know that I don't get cover as far as like the Neg 3, but I've just been finding that the auto efficiency with the Knight Commander, the BS3, it just does work. The BS13 on a Spitfire just works. I don't know. He's just been really good to me so far. We then got Brother Konstantinos, who is just like Quinn, is your vegetables that you take for Disco Baller. He's not too bad either. He's got Sensor. He's got MSV. He's got some Malay. He's not horrible. Order Sergeant, hacker with pitches, because we have pitches now. So she obviously helps out herself, helps out Deferzen, to sort of extend the hacking net. And then we've just got a Fugazi and Sacha. The Millbot obviously being there to provide baggage to get pitches back and to get the decharges. The disco balls reloaded.
It's also good for crossing lines because it's baggage. And if it starts in your DZ, but you're able to put it close to the edge, just walking it across, and now you're going like one order, and I've got 28 points now in my dead zone.
Yep.
Yeah, I especially find that at some point you'll probably be like, I could do something with Deferzen, but it's really risky and leaves him with his dick hanging out. So I'd rather just spend orders, Mulebot into somewhere safe. It's safe now. And I've got 28 points, in my dead zone. My other list starts off with a Knight of Justice, Brother Con again, and an Order Sergeant. So 2 hackers, both with pitches. The Knight of Justice is the hacker with a multi-marksman rifle, which is a really nice PS6 multi-marksman rifle. Again, Con's there for disco ballers. Order Sergeant's there for some extra pitches. Then got the Blackfriar, Knight Commander, Crozier Paramedic, and 2 Crozier Blitzens. The Tech B is just there for extra orders. The Crusader is there because it's one of the units that can do so the Crusader Forward Observer is a parachutist that can do almost any classified. It's like a medium infantry veteran. It's got disco ballers, decharges, the Forward Observer, so we can do mapping and all that sort of thing.
Doesn't have disco ballers.
Sorry, that's the other. That's a different profile. It's a non-specialist profile.
Yeah.
So that's why it's there. It's, I mean, when I played during Mega, I dropped it and it was able to do 2 of my classifieds directly after it dropped. So it's just one of those good pieces this is obviously for corporate appropriation and maybe Hardlock.
Sure.
Might be a bit slow for Hardlock. We then have the Holy Knight of Sepulchre, NCO with the AP HMG, Fugazi, Mulebot, Sacha, and a Trinitarian Mindlayer Forward Observer.
I do like that.
So the Sepulchre is good because it's got the NCO. It can be a bit of a difficult piece to use, especially if it doesn't have the surprise attack, because it doesn't have any mods. It's a good shot, but I mean, even 14s can fail you. But it's one of the very few weapons that has an outside 32-inch range on anything that's not like a Trinitarian or a Crozier in ammo.
Is there a reason you have the Knight of Justice over Deferzen?
Because I
like your
wanted
vanity
to try
picks?
and make I wanted to try and pick a unit that wasn't Deferzen. The problem, any MMO player that's playing right now, the problem with Deferzen is it's hard to not pick Deferzen. He's so fucking good. The only other thing is the Knight of Justice does come with a DA and DA close combat weapon and D charges, so it is better for taking out something in Corporo while being just as fast.
I'll accept that answer. That's fair.
Right. He is also just as good of a shot as the Furzin. The weapon is less
differently
burst.
good.
Yeah, differently good because you get AP or DA and reactive and things like that. The other thing you can do with this guy is you can change it for a Crocs Knight, a Father Knight. You lose the hacker and the pitches and all that. You do get a better gun. You do get a better CC. You do get Albedo and things like that. And you get the extra +1 special dice. So there's things to swap around here. I've been finding actually I like taking now the Crozier multi-sniper rifle to make sure that but also to make sure I have an ARO that doesn't have a visor in case I'm playing something with white noise.
Yeah, because that Black Friar doesn't have 6th Sense, does it?
No, only has combat instinct.
Yeah.
So like in Nick's list, the Black Friar, real easy for him to shoot. Crozier multi-sniper rifle, not so much because it doesn't have the visor on it. And yeah, the mine is a really nice addition to it. So yeah, there's a lot of like sort of fiddling you can do with that second list. Especially if you take the Furzin, you still got a point left. And if you don't want that, the Knight of Sepulchre, there's a million things you can do if you take him out and put something else in.
Yeah. I played against New Dart, and she was scary.
She is. I don't think I get Start though.
Yeah. Hell yeah, you do. Because I played against MO. You do.
I do get Dart.
She is actually.
It's your other skirmisher.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. She is. She is actually really mean. In her current state, I just haven't fiddled with her. I mean, if you get the points, is she specialist? Yeah, I could. If you get the points, I could see you, like, not taking the Trinitarian and taking her instead.
Yeah, I played against Hector's MO. He had a Holy Sepulchre. He had 2 Trinitarian mine layers and Dart. And we were playing Hardlock, so this was just, having specialists up the field. Dart is incredibly durable and can put mines down, and is 2 dice in ARO with a viral snipe with a viral bow. That was scary. I still won, so maybe it wasn't the right list, but
yeah,
I like that your lists are similar. They make sure that you're not going to confuse yourself too much between lists, because really the only massive difference is like the First Bulleteer and Knight of Justice, and you're trading out like a Teuton Spitfire for an APHMG. Like, they're not massively different.
I mean, it's sort of, again, it's me playing, the Infinity mechanics. I've got NCO and separate lists, and that way I can change the orders that are here and there, and I can make sure things are efficient with, impetuous orders and all that sort of thing. So like, there's a plan for each of the lists. But yeah, I mean, look, like you mentioned, the choice of taking the Knight of Justice was just me being different and trying to see if the Furzin really was just like the bee's knees, or if there really is like a good use for the other 2 big, almost 50-point knights. And honestly, I found that there is the Knight of Justice is just a little bit more flexible objective wise than the Furzin. Not much more, but a little bit.
Take both.
God damn it. I don't want to be experimenting this late in the game.
Take both.
That's such a good idea.
You don't need any other hackers.
Can the Furzin... I don't think the Furzin can be by himself.
Knight of Justice is a wild card. So is the Furzin, I think. You need the Order Sergeant to link them. You need something to stick them together.
Cards.
But you don't even necessarily want to stick them together. You can have the Knight of Justice with... wouldn't. I don't know. Whatever. It could be by itself. Who cares? But go on, Nick.
The Furzin and Knight of Justice count as each other, Well, they both count as night hospitalers. So
They do.
if you
Get like a
throw
night
a random
hospitaler
model on the
doctor or
table,
something. Yeah.
link them both to it,
And then
and
run
they
away.
just go off into the thing, they're a pure duo.
There you go.
Funnily enough, what might be a good thing to you could make a pure 3-man, because the normal hospitalers now gained firewall -3.
Yep. You won't need it, but
It's
yeah.
only 27. It's only 27 points. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're BTS 6 and 9, and now they've got firewalls.
Do it.
Oh, it would look really cool on the table too.
I'd be sick. And honest to God, like there's not a lot that's going to stop that aside from a Swiss Guard missile launcher. But like even Nick's hacking, like you could obviously like 4 Oblivions would probably get through, but it's still BTS 12. Like it goes from 9 to 5 to 8 on 4, so like you need 12s to save. But Nick will miss a couple. You'll face to face a couple. Like it is a brick. Like especially in something like provisioning or area of interest where you've got to cover the zones. If the only thing they can get in there is like a tag, that's they aren't getting through that.
I played a friend recently who went like full. I think it was like Deferzen Mendoza. Maybe like 2. Oh no, there was Deferzen Mendoza.
I'll be back in a sec.
A Father Knight and something else to stick them all together. I think that was the Hospitaler. So yeah, they can be gross. And I think if we go back to that upgrade, there's a lot more variability, I think, to MO now than there has been for a very long time.
I think Tristan stepped away just the wrong point.
Now
that we were wrapping up
the way we can't move the slideshow along.
Up soon, hopefully. And we will welcome the new year with a revived fervor for making excellent Infinity content, or mediocre, if that's how you like us. All right, I've been Tristan.
I've been Nick.
Jacob.
Oh, nice. Good night, everyone.